Hi, welcome back to Crepe Myrtle Journals. I wanted to show you my 21st journal, my 22nd journal, which is a paper bag journal. Inside's a paper bag that makes the cover, which is pretty, long. And then I folded it into two pieces like that. I covered the paper bag. You can hear the crinkle inside of the paper bag. It's like a layer of like 3 paper bags. So then I covered it with fabric, and I collaged together a bunch of fabric to make the cover, and then taught myself some embroidery stitches following tutorials to make this bumblebee, this feather stitch, and just added details all over the cover using those stitches, a little woven flower, and then added this, looks like a little shell. I've had it for years and years. It was among my buttons, but it is a small shell like buckle. So I used that, attached a ribbon. That's the closure. And I also wanted to share with you guys that I've been really pleased with all of your comments and your kind words over the last week. I'm really kind of amazed from my 20th journal video to get such a good response, and I was very excited to read y'all's kind words. So thank you. The front of this journal has a pocket, and the back has a pocket, and the back of the actual cover has a pocket too. I just sewed in a piece of lace, probably the edge of a tablecloth or a pillowcase that I got at a flea market. And then the actual journal is travel notebook style with elastic bands, so you can add more pages if you want to. And the inside of it is a tab binding journal. It's a set of like 8 envelopes that I bound together using tabs and then sewed in a couple of signatures in between the envelopes. So this is a recycled envelope that I collaged, cut open the top, left it open so I could put in a journaling card. And this journaling card is made from an old filed folder that I just decorated up. The next envelope is a junk mail envelope, which again I collaged front and back. This is some of my own rubber stamps, I should say art foam stamps, using art foam and cardboard. Also made a journaling card out of a file folder, recycled file folder. And you can see through the junk mail window. Then I sewed a small signature between 2 of the tabs. This is a lace tablecloth used as a stencil. I got these at a estate sale. It was a huge tablecloth, and I cut it into workable pieces, and some of it was damaged, so I just cut those pieces off and just laid it down on paper and used ink, whatever ink color you choose. Just run your dauber over it or your brush, and you get a great impression of ink. Sometimes it almost looks like a photograph in some shades. It's really neat. So that is one idea. Here's another stencil I've used many times. It's a plasticky kind of centerpiece doily, but you can see it's really old. I mean, I can't flatten it back out, but it makes a really neat, sometimes just the edge of it, when I use the brush, sometimes just the edge of it leaves a really neat design. Actually, that's where this comes from. This was this laid against that, and then I ran pink first and then brown over it, and I absolutely love that. It almost looks like a photograph to me, or just a really neat impression. So the first signature between 2 envelopes is fairly simple. There might be a few snippets of paper. That's a William Morris. I think it's in the public domain, so you can download it, maybe the graphics area, for free. Plates, pictures of little plates make really great journal decor because they're like tiny miniature artworks all by themselves. And there's just, we've had plates in history for just hundreds and even thousands of years. So there's just so many to find, and you can even paint your own in a circle like that. This was my own rubber stamp using art foam and wood. I dyed these papers using some old tie-dye ink in my backyard. Just made a bath of water, added the tie-dye ink, and dyed a bunch of pages at once out in the backyard and let them dry out in the grass. Just a leaf, faux aged tape. This was a strip of my own rubber foam stamps again. I actually was stamping on another page and this one was underneath it, but it left a neat little strip and I thought that looked really neat as a page edge. Stenciling that same plastic tablecloth. Here's the next envelope. This was just a recycled envelope that I collaged. I punched a circle into the back, put a little image there so you can see it. Left the side open in order to put in a journaling card. This next envelope is a vellum envelope, probably from a wedding invitation or something. And it was already so beautiful I didn't add any other decor to it. But I made a file folder journaling card to go in the top. Here's another signature. Again, not much decoration. This is a teeny tiny file folder for a teeny tiny idea, and I even made a little label like you would on a little file folder. It's just a little miniature. I love miniatures in journals, and I have another video where I showed how to make tiny little clipboards. This is actually bigger than the one I show in the other video, but this makes a neat little journaling card. I just punched little tiny holes in this paper to make it look like a real piece of notebook paper and just glued on a little topper that I made a stencil for. And that's a great idea. Just make your own stencils and use them over and over and over to make unique journaling cards. A file folder pocket. I drew my own doodles on some pages based on some illustrations in an old catalog. I just loved them so much that I thought I would draw my own. So they're rough, rustic looking, but that's okay. And that way I can Xerox it as many times as I want to without worrying about copyright. This is some more paper dyed using tie-dye ink. Piece of wrapping paper on the fold over there. These are not decorated. Here's the next envelope. It is a long envelope, and I just made a file folder journaling card. Collage the front and back. Here's the next envelope. Left the side open so I could put in another file folder journaling card. If you do not have a tab punch that punches tabs like this, I do not either. But I don't know if I ever got one that someone actually had punched out or if I just imitated the shape. So I have a variety of tabs that I have just either drawn myself as a stencil and you know, just get creative with stencils. They can be rustic. You can see this one is not perfect looking. That's a collaged piece of paper. But whatever you find as make a stencil and you can reuse it over and over and over. And that's how I made these tabs. Collaged page. Another signature of minimally decorated pages. These are my own foam stamps using foam and cardboard. And I made copies of it so I could keep using those pages. And it's neat when you make a copy of it, it kind of makes it a little bit lighter. This is an origami dress, a tiny one. G. Kerr makes a lot of origami things for journals, and I really enjoy her tutorials. That's where I learned to make that dress. And when I worked at a children's home with little girls and boys, the little girls made these dresses over and over and over and over and over out of every scrap paper they could find. It was so much fun. We enjoyed it so much. Some more paper dyed in the backyard using tie-dye ink. A flower that I pressed in my flower press and some faux aged tape. And sometimes I just go through my journal and dip things into coffee and like that to leave some coffee rings. That's the center of the signature. Mostly blank signatures, just a few small decorations. the other half of my homemade foam and cardboard stamps, top tuck using a plate, and the last envelope is a long recycled envelope, and this time I used an olive colored file folder as the journaling card. Collage the front and back, and this tag is made from just some little fabric ribbons, glued some fabric to a file folder, sewed around the edges, put in an eyelet at the top. This is my 22nd journal, a paper bag journal with slow stitching on the cover. Thank you so much for watching.